Okay, listen, welcome to everybody who's jumped online today. It's fantastic to have you here. My name's Kate McLaughlin. I'm the chef de mission of the Australian Paralympic team for the Tokyo Games this year. We're so excited to have partnered with Jumbo Fundraising to bring you Para Lottery, which is going to be a new lottery which will help to boost our current fundraising activities. All proceeds of the tickets for this lottery will have a direct impact on creating opportunities for Australians with disabilities to participate in Paralympic sport, which is fantastic. Through Paralottery, Paralympics Australia aims to provide critical funds to the Paralympic movement in Australia. So we're so grateful that you've jumped on board today. And I have two guests with me, very special guests. I have Madison De Rosario and Reid McCracken, and I'll give you a bit of an intro about each of them. So Maddie is a three-time Paralympian and a triple world champion, and Reid is a dual Paralympian and a Paralympic and World Championship medalist. So thank you so much for joining us today. Obviously, my background makes it look like I'm in Tokyo. I'm clearly not, but I'm getting excited about Tokyo because we have only 108 days to go until the Games. So before we start talking about Paralottery, I might throw to you guys and just get an understanding of how your preparation is going for the Games so far. Reid, do you want to start?
Yes, I can start. Absolutely. Yeah, our prep's been going really good. I'm training up in Newcastle. So yeah, we've just sort of finished our domestic season. Yeah, I think we still have a lot of work to do, but the Games are getting closer now. And yeah, for me personally, I think we're on the right track and still working really hard.
Fantastic. Good on you, Reid. And how about you, Maddie?
Yeah, no, prep's going really well over here as well. It's kind of hard to tell because I think no matter how well you're doing, it doesn't really matter. It just compares how you stack up against anybody else. That's for me making me a little bit nervous, but for me personally, I think everything's going really well. As soon as the postponement was announced, we kind of moved back into base training, and so we've done the most volume work that I've ever done in my career. We've really kind of grabbed that opportunity of not having to compete to really just go into that kind of heavy block and not have to come out of it. So we've kind of been burying ourselves in training for the last 12 months, and right now we're kind of starting to ease out of it and seeing speeds again. So I'm interested to see how it goes. I'm a little nervous that we find out how it all turned out in Tokyo on a world stage, but I think we're on the same boat, so we'll see how it goes.
That's exciting to think about though, Maddie. And listen, both of you started your Paralympic careers as Paralympians as teenagers. So you've been through it. You're effectively veterans. You're not that old. So what have you guys learned over your time, the multiple Paralympic Games that you've been to?
Do you want to go first, Maddie?
Yeah. God, so much. I think that it's so strange to think about, who I was in those first Games and how I viewed the sport. And I think, I don't want to speak for Reid, but I think for most of us who started as kids, it kind of shapes every part of who you are. And I think you kind of see the world through a bit of a sporting lens, which is, I think, a strange approach, but sports shaped every part of who I am. And I'm so grateful for it. And I think that, it's become the biggest part of my life. But I think the biggest change for me is I think sport definitely started for me as like a selfish thing that I did because I love. And I think as I've gotten older and gone through the sport a bit more, you start to realize the impact that sport really does have on community and your role in that to leave a really good something behind as you're doing that. And so I think going into, hopefully a fourth Games, like the platform that sport kind of lends you, it's important to kind of really use it well. And I think there's definitely a responsibility that a lot of us carry with us to really have a really positive impact on community.
Yeah, good one, Maddie. And how about you, Reid? Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, pretty much like what Maddie said. Sport gave me an opportunity in life to do things that I probably would never have got a chance to do, and it gave me a way to, as an outlet. And I guess for me, because I was in a bit of a crossroads as to what I wanted to do. I always had an interest in sport, just didn't really know how to get there. And I think also seeing the sport change from my first Games was in London in 2012, the professionalism that has come into Paralympic sport. And I think that's something that, I think, and Maddie would say the same thing, like you're proud that the sport is always continuing to get better and be more professional, because, we work day in, day out to be better athletes. And I think that's something that I've seen change over time as well.
Absolutely. And look, the postponement's obviously been really difficult for all of us, particularly the athletes. How have you guys kind of dealt with that? You know, how's it affected you?
That was, I mean, that was challenging for everyone. I think the whole world got put on pause, and I think we all dealt with that differently. I think as athletes training for Paralympics, that's hard because it's not just this year that feels impacted, it's your entire identity for the last 4 years that's kind of been thrown into a bit of uncertainty. I think as soon as Rio wrapped up, like Tokyo 2020 was all any of us was thinking about, talking about. Every decision that we made was with that in mind. So I think to have that huge pinnacle event kind of thrown into a bit of a chaotic space was really quite confronting. And for me, it was a bit of an identity crisis. I think we tell ourselves that we're more than just our sport, but then as soon as you take that away, we realize that we've kind of been lying to ourselves that entire time. So for me, that was probably one of the biggest struggles, was just working out who I am without that big goal and that thing to train towards. And how do I, I guess remain true to myself and train and I think navigate my entire life without that big goal at the end of it. So for me, tiny identity crisis for a couple of months there. But no, overall, I think it's been such an opportunity to, I think, work on so many things that we don't normally. I know for myself, I've spent so much time with my sports, like, and my team and my coach, working on like the mental resilience part. I think as athletes, we often react to situations rather than prepare for them, just because there isn't the time. So I know for myself and my team, we've kind of worked on preparing better for things rather than being so reactionary. So it's been an opportunity as well as just a bit chaotic.
Great attitude, Maddie. That's awesome. And how about you, Reid?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things we're always looking at the countdown clock, like from when Rio ended, like Maddie said, you're just on to the next thing. It can be very routine, but it was really nice. It gave me a chance to find something outside of the sport. I looked into trying to do some study and stuff like that, and those things that I kind of neglected a little bit because the sport was always there. So it did give me a chance to sort of find those things. And we went back into a really solid base training. And being that for the past couple of years, we've been struggling with those, like that way of just trying to take the next step to win a gold medal. And it gave us just a little bit of extra time to find some new ways that we might, techniques that we could try to see if we can improve when the games finally do come around.
Yeah, fantastic. Lots of silver linings there, which is great to hear. I just want to talk to you about your how sport has impacted you as a person with an impairment.
I think sport has such a way of impacting anyone and everyone. I think as Australians, we get behind it so much. I think sport has a way of affecting everyone, whether you're involved in sport at an elite level, like we are, whether it's at a grassroots level, whether it's in a volunteer staff, office space, or just watching. I think that we all kind of lean into it so heavily, I think globally, but definitely in Australia. And so I think that getting to be a part of something like that, and for me, if we want to view it through the disability lens here, I think it kind of forces you to find an identity outside of disability, which I think can be incredibly challenging for young people with disabilities. And I think it's definitely a bit of a journey that you have to go on. I think you grow up believing so strong that is who you are, because that is realistically what the world tells you are. I think everything that you see around disability is with disability at its core identifier, and that kind of forces any young person with a disability to believe that is who they are. And so I think for myself, and I know for so many of my teammates, sport kind of forces you into this other identity, and that becomes who you are, and you're forced to, I guess, reconcile all those parts of you, and disability kind of fits into a smaller space, which is the space that it deserves, and you get to be an entire person and grow that identity outside of that. So I think sport is important for anybody and everybody, disability or not. But I do think for people with disabilities, it's one of many ways to really kind of jumpstart that like journey to find who you are outside of that imposed identity.
Yeah, good stuff. And Reid, what do you see as some of the barriers that restrict young people getting into parasport?
I think, look, it can be challenging to find a way into sport. Like, for myself, I found parasport through watching Beijing on TV, and that was my introduction to Paralympic sport. But from there, I had no idea how to get equipment and stuff like that. So I think those are some of the barriers, finding the connections to, for someone with an impairment that they might want a wheelchair race or something, trying to find the connection to be able to be fitted up for a chair. And that can be quite challenging. I know across all different sports, it's very similar. A lot of it's equipment stuff. So those are barriers that we do have to deal with. Like for me, you know, like I said, like I found the sport through TV, but from then I wanted to do that, but I had no idea how to make those steps to be in that sport then.
And just to give everyone an idea, a racing chair, what does that cost?
A racing chair could roughly I would say $5,000, $4,000 or $5,000 with wheels and stuff. So
what a money for someone coming in.
Yeah, and it's a big commitment as well, and that might, you know, you have to get that fitted, and you might not be comfortable in it, and then in the end of the day, it might not be the sport that you move forward with, and it's a big expense outlay.
Yeah, absolutely. For those online, I guess it's interesting to know that 20% of Australians actually have a disability. So 1 in 3 adults living with a disability also experience high or very high stress levels compared to 8% without a disability. Look, at Paralympics Australia, we solidly believe in the power of sport to change lives, and I think these two are fantastic examples of that. We know that parasport removes barriers for people with disabilities, and it also challenges the way people look at disability in the community and how they're perceived in society. So it's just such an important part of what we do. But obviously, to continue to do that, we really need your support. And with the help of our new partners, Jumbo Fundraising, supporting the Australian Paralympic team will give you a chance to win as well, which is super exciting. So the Para Lottery launches this coming Monday, the 10th of May, from 9 a.m. And yes, Maddie and Reid, you guys can both enter, which is super exciting. So yeah, it's exciting, and it's starting on Monday.
Perfect. How do you enter that? Talk us through that.
So you can buy tickets directly through paralottery.com.au or via Paralympics Australia's website, which is paralympic.org.au. The tickets are $10 each, and the more times you enter, the more chances you have to take home the incredible grand prize.
Which is what?
And what is the grand prize, Kate?
Oh, that's super exciting. So what the grand prize is a Toyota Prado Kakadu. So a car valued at over $93,600, which is pretty cool. So the draw closes on the August the 6th, and that's obviously coming up super quick. That's actually really close to the opening ceremony of the Paralympic Games. So it's not too far away at all. So look, don't wait. Please grab your tickets from Monday at 10 a.m. Not only will you be playing an important part in supporting the Australian Paralympic team, you'll also be giving yourself an opportunity to drive away in a brand new Toyota Prado Kakadu valued at $93,600, which is fantastic. Look, I just want to thank everybody online for joining us on Facebook Live today. A huge thank you to Maddie and Reid for joining us online as well. We are super excited to see how you go in Tokyo. I wish you both the very best of luck for your final preparations. There's probably not a lot of time to go, but I'm sure you've got lots of things you're thinking in your mind. You need to keep doing your training and so on to get yourself prepared. So cannot wait to see how that goes. If you have any questions at all, please comment below and the Para Lottery team will respond. And as always, please contact Paralympics Australia for more information about the Australian Paralympic team or how you can get involved in Paralympic sport. And of course, don't forget to invite your friends to purchase a Paralottery ticket by visiting the Paralottery website, which is www.paralottery.com.au from 10 a.m. on Monday. Stay safe, everybody, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks so much for joining us.